Hi everyone and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel and the Take 5 Art Journal collaboration video for May. Today we're going to be working with prompts chosen by Leanne over at Creatively Free to Be Me, and it is definitely going to be a fun video. As always, getting started with my page, I'm going to be applying a very generous coat of white gesso, and today I'm using a super thick paintbrush to do so. I find it so much easier using a big paintbrush to get more of an even coat, so I'm just making sure to cover up any marks that are previously on my page, and then I'm going to use my heat tool to make sure that's completely dry before we start building up the layers. I'm then taking some of my Tim Holtz stencils. I'm going to be using the large industrial stencil as well as one of the mini shifter stencils, and I'll be using some of my white Liquitex modelling paste with this. I'm going to be using a thick spatula and I'm just going to be applying a medium amount of texture paste. Sometimes I go a bit too heavy, so I'm trying to use less texture paste, and I'm not being too precise or perfect with this. I'm using different parts of the stencil and transferring different amounts of the pattern. I'm then going to, in the corners, use this diamond stencil and just really add some detail. This stencil is so beautiful. It's diamonds but makes a circle pattern as well, so I absolutely love the stencil and I want to use it again in another page. Once I've finished doing my stenciling, I'm going to take my heat tool and very carefully dry this. I find if I dry it too close with my heat gun or for too long, it does tend to bubble. So I'm using a very light approach with the heat tool, and I'm going to make sure that's completely dry before I move on. I'm then going to be adding some of this Dear Lizzie washi tape. It's actually a really wide washi tape that I have torn into strips, and I'm just going to be placing some of that at random parts of the page, mostly around the edges and down the side of the page, just as a little bit of an extra accent, and it does show through the final page a little bit as well, which is nice. I'm also going to be using quite a few of my different ink sprays. I'm going to be starting with my Calypso Teal Dilutions ink spray. I'm then going to be using the Calypso Teal Dilutions shimmer spray, as well as the London Blue shimmer spray, Polished Jade, and I think there's another one, Vibrant Turquoise maybe. So I'm just going to be spraying those different sprays. I'm now using also my Faded Jeans Distress Oxide spray, which I absolutely love, and it was just such a beautiful effect. So I've sprayed all of those and dried them a little bit with my heat tool, let them air dry a little bit, and now I'm just dabbing up the rest with a paper towel. I'm then going to take my Staedtler watercolour pencils. These are very old, so I'm not actually sure if you can still buy them, but I decided I would give them a go for this video anyway. This is going to be our first prompt for today. I'm going to be using this green pencil to just add some accents to my texture paste. One of the stencils that I use, the industrial stencil, has numbers and writing, and I really wanted to just add a little bit of depth and detail and also merge in a little bit of green amongst those blues and teals as well. These are actually watercolour pencils as well, but I'm not going to be activating them with water. I'm just going to be mixing them, as I said, on top of those inks, on top of the texture paste and in the grooves. Some of my texture paste is a little bit wet still, and so I am having to make sure to wipe my pencil off onto some paper towel so that I don't end up coating the edge of the pencil in texture paste and it hardening. I'm going to use my heat tool again to dry that, making sure to dry the underneath of the pages as well, as I really want it to thoroughly dry before I can add some more layers on top. Next, I'm going to be taking my Polished Jade Dilution shimmer spray, and I'm going to be adding first some more details with this. I was going to add just into all of the grooves, but then I decided I would get more of an effect by spraying, so I'm just going to spray that around the areas where I used that diamond stencil at first, and then I'm going to really smush it and blend it with a paper towel, just so that I really get the shimmer as opposed to such a big boost of colour. And as always, I'm going to be using my heat tool to dry that in between, just to again make sure that I can layer over the top instead of just muddling the colours that I'm already working with. Next, I'm going to be taking the Black Marble Dilutions shimmer spray, and I was nervous about how the black would translate into a shimmer spray, but this is such a beautiful ink. I'm taking it on a fine paintbrush and I'm just going in between those letters from the texture paste and smooshing it around the edges. I'm going to add some depth here. I'm going to use my paper towel to pat that in and blend it in a little bit before I go back to the Calypso Teal Dilutions ink spray, and I'm going to spray some more of that over the top, and then I'm going to use my heat tool and my paper towel just to move that ink around and blend it and make those colours a little bit more vivid. I absolutely love the way this looks once I've added the black marble underneath and more ink over the top. It looks so textured and so dimensional. I absolutely love it. Next, I'm going to be using my Mermaid Lagoon Distress Oxide ink spray for my little top cluster, and I absolutely love these sprays. It's only my second time using them, but already I can't wait to get more and maybe do a video of just using the Distress Oxide sprays. I think that would be fun. I'm then also going to use the London Blue Dilution Shimmer Spray, and again just add a few more details to those texture paste areas. I'm really loving the way that turned out. Normally my texture paste gets all muddled up or blisters or just looks a bit strange, so I'm so happy with my stenciling, which is nice and makes a change. I'm again going to use some paper towel to sort of dab over those areas. I find that dabbing makes the metallic come out more on the page, so that was just to really make that shine. I'm then using my next prompt, which is going to be a photograph, and also my next prompt, which is going to be to add scrap paper. I'm using some scraps of paper from my Citrus Twist kits. This is one of my all-time favourite papers from Citrus Twist. It's like a duck egg blue but with distressing and fake ink splatters, and this is actually a photo that's really old. This is of one of my husband and I's engagement photos, and it was sort of like a blooper photo, and I really love it, and I've never scrapbooked it or done anything with it, and I really wanted to add it into something, especially as if I don't add it now I probably won't. I'm kind of cheating for this next prompt, which is to add paint of any kind. I'm actually using one of the Nouveau embellishment mousses. Unfortunately my one had dried out, and so I had to add water to it and try to bring it back a little bit. So it is more of a paint, as I've had to add water and blend it myself. So I'm going to count that as using some paint, and I just added that to the edges of the page and a little bit on top of that texture paste again, just to really make it shine. I'm then going to be sticking my photo down on the left hand side of the page, and I used both double-sided sticky tape and wet glue, and I found that it still didn't stick very well, so next time perhaps I'm going to try some hot glue. I'm then going to be using these gold heart puffy stickers, and I'm going to be placing 2 on next to the photo on the other page, and then I'm just going to place a few other gold hearts around as well. I really like the way that the gold contrasts with the blues and greens of the background, and it really brings out the metallic as well. I added a little bit of extra glue to the back of these, as I do find that using any mixed media makes anything not stick onto my page very well. The last prompt for this is going to be a black pen. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with a black pen, as I loved my page the way it was, so I just decided to use my black jelly roll and write Young Love just above my photo. I'm just going to go over it a couple of times as I'm using one of the smaller nibbed pens, and so I'm just going to go over that and make sure it stands out. And that's actually going to be my page for this month finished. Thank you so much for the great prompts, Leanne. I had so much fun and I really love this page. As always, please don't forget to check out the other ladies who take part in the Take 5. Their links to their channels will be listed in the description as below as always, and please feel free to join in with the Take 5 yourself as well. Feel free to use the hashtag Take5Art on Instagram or here on YouTube and tag any of us ladies so that we can see the projects you're creating with the prompts that we also are using. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you'd like to see more from me, then please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I see you soon in the next video.